Okay, my unraveled friends. Day one has wrapped up. They wrapped up a little bit early. Um, Aaron Cooper took the stand, Ryan's brother. He was a great witness, just very calm, very respectable. I enjoyed his testimony a lot, and he gave us a lot. He gave us a lot, okay? But before that happened, so the second witness that was called was Deputy Travis Foster. I so many notes. So usually like my deep dives are very researched, and then I write everything, and before I go over it. And today, I mean, I'm just winging it. This is kind of my first like unscripted. Well, today, the series of videos today has been like my first like unscripted. I'm just kind of, you know. So I'm disheveled. I'm disheveled. I got this is why I have to write everything, because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so the second witness of the day, but the first witness after the lunch break. Okay, Deputy Travis Foster. He's now with the, I think he said Powashi. That sounds right. Powashi County Sheriff's Office, but he was formerly with the Traer County Sheriff's Office, not Traer, Tama County Sheriff's Office, which is, where he was working when obviously he was called to the residence. He was the second responding officer to the scene when the 911 call was made. He said that the report that he got from dispatch was that someone had been shot and that someone was bleeding. He said that the dispatch just couldn't get a lot of information from the caller, which we know because that 911 call was crazy. And in fact, that behavior just kind of carried throughout. I won't touch on that yet. We'll get there. When he arrived, he found Aaron Cooper, Ryan's brother, consoling Karina like on the couch. She was absolutely hysterical. Turns out, before she called 911, she called Aaron Cooper. Because, I guess that's what you do. You call. Okay. So he just kind of, as the first deputy did, kind of just went through everything that he found when he arrived on the scene. He was talking about the blood spatter and just kind of talking about how he noticed that everything was kind of dry or drying and that blood was coagulating. Just didn't seem like a super fresh crime scene, but surprisingly didn't go into that too much. But imagine, I'm just guessing, I'm just talking. I'm guessing there's going to be some experts later who will talk about the process of like coagulation and blood spatter and things like that, because they really seem to kind of be preemptively striking the jury with this information about how the blood was dry and dark and coagulating. Like they mentioned that a lot. And so I think that it's kind of foreshadowing maybe a point that they're going to try to prove. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see together. You and me, babes. We're in this. Too late. Too late. You can't go anywhere. You're here. So let's see. Okay, so Deputy Travis Foster, right? So he says that after he saw Karina and Aaron when he first arrived, he kind of did like just a preliminary scoping of the scene before talking to the first deputy that we heard from, Deputy Fingman, who was already there when Deputy Foster had arrived. He said that he kind of was looking around, checking doors, windows, everything was intact, because with the little bit of information that he did get from dispatch was that someone had broken in, someone was shot, someone was bleeding. But he said just from his quick like first go round, he didn't really see any signs of forced entry, but again, he just still wasn't quite sure what had happened. He wasn't sure what had taken place at this point. Guess what we got? We got body cam. We got body cam. We got body cam footage. So, after a quick chat from prosecution and Deputy Foster, we go into the body cam footage, right? We hear Karina, I guess kind of, I don't know. We couldn't really hear Karina say much of anything. So here's the thing. When Deputy Travis Foster, we did review the body cam, we could hear a lot of stuff. We could hear her say little tidbits of information. I heard a noise. And then a few minutes later, another tidbit would come out and and she would say, quite hysterically and hard to make out, by the way, that she got up to inspect the noise. And then a few minutes later, we would hear her say that she heard Ryan snore or make a noise. And so then she turned on the light and she saw him and, all the stuff. I mean, she was completely hysterical. 911 call through body cam footage. Like, you couldn't understand a word she was saying. Absolutely just off the rails hysterical. And I get, like, traumatizing thing, right? If you're waking up and you're seeing this, hard, tough, crazy, maybe a little difficult to get yourself together. I got it. I get it. But I mean, she's screaming, she's screaming, she's screaming. It's just constant. It's constant screaming. She eventually gets a little tidbit out about hearing the noise. Like I said, hearing the noise, getting up, going to the kitchen to investigate, and then hearing Ryan make this weird snory noise, and then turning on the light, and then seeing the blood, and then running to the room and trying to get her gun out of the safe in the bedroom, but she just couldn't get into it. She couldn't get into it. She couldn't get into it. This deputy, God, poor thing, you can see in the body cam footage, he's trying to console her the entire time. He's so great. He really is. He's like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Don't worry. Your kids are safe. Your kids are in the car. Your kids are with your brother-in-law. Like, everybody is fine, but I have to know what happened. I have to know. He's practically begging her, please, if you need to hold my hand, if you need to hug me, that's fine. I'm here for you, but I have to talk to you. You've got to tell me what happened. You have to tell me what happened. Karina is dysfunctional at this point, completely dysfunctional. There's no real solid information here. At one point, we talked about the gun that she couldn't get into. She said, I just couldn't get the safe. I couldn't get the safe open. And, deputies come to find out, Deputy Foster walks into the room and opens the safe completely freely and easily, completely accessible. Not even, he said he even used his fingerprint. I guess it was a thumbprint. I don't know. I don't have gun safes. I don't know how they work, but he said, I put my finger on it and it read my fingerprint and opened it. So it's not like it was actually like locked or, whatever, but he got in there. She couldn't though, I guess. Anyway, throughout the body cam footage, you see this wonderful deputy. He's trying to just gather any information that he can. He does eventually lay eyes on Ryan. He says he sees blood coming out of his nose, coming out of his ears, coming out of his mouth, and very immediately radios for the medical examiner reporting a deceased male and calls for a supervisor. And again, he attempts to talk to Aaron and Karina. When he's talking to Aaron on the body cam footage, he does make sure to ask Aaron, does Ryan have any medical or mental health issues? Because as of right now, he just knows, he at this point, this deputy has no idea what took place, but he's just trying to get to the bottom of it and cover all of those bases. So we kind of see him talk to Karina, then talk to Aaron, then back to Karina. He gets back to Karina. He takes Karina out to his SUV at this point, or his truck, or his car, his police vehicle, just to try to get anything out of her. And man, I mean, you can't understand anything. There's nothing. There's just screaming and yelling. I do hear throughout the body cam footage, I hear loud noise. Like, I don't hear loud noise. I hear her say through her sobbing, loud noise. I could pick up maybe something fell. Something's always falling in this house. I heard that. I heard her say snoring, like talking about Ryan. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. And this was talked about. This was talked about with this deputy. In fact, I think maybe that was kind of the point of this direct. The state says to Deputy Foster, pretty much, you've had a lot of experience, right? Responding to scenes and seeing all kinds of different things. And Deputy Foster says, well, yeah, of course. I mean, I've kind of seen it all. I've been to accidents. I've been to calls of self-unalivings. I've been to calls of, just multiple places where family members have been kind of in the seat of dealing with extensive bodily harm or injuries or even deaths. And the prosecution says, prosecution is just like, so what did you think about Karina's response? And the deputy said, listen, I've never, in all of my experience, I understand that people respond differently. Everyone responds differently to trauma, and I've seen all kinds of trauma responses in my career. But I've never once met or seen or experienced a family member who just cannot relay pertinent information to authorities when asked. Even through their terror, even through their shock, they're able to relay information in order to be helpful and give us the information that we need to figure out what happened. And he even talked about this in contrast to Aaron Cooper's response when he arrived. He said, man, I think he was in shock. He was calm, but he was calm and he was a little aloof, but he was trying to relay the information that we were trying to get to the bottom of. He was making an effort to talk about what he knew, where he was, how he got here, what he saw, what he found, what he heard. He was making that effort. And the body cam continues, and you see Karina falling out of the deputy's vehicle onto the ground, just completely inconsolable. The screaming and the crying and the sobbing literally never stopped from the 911 call to whenever that body cam footage ended. And even deputies said that this was just a real out of the usual, and he's seen a lot, reaction to the trauma. So of course the cross-examination by the defense, he comes on and he was like, well, obviously everybody reacts differently to trauma, right? And Deputy Foster's like, absolutely, 100% they do. And then the defense said, did you prepare this model of the house that we've been referring to throughout these exhibits? Deputy Foster said, no, I didn't. He was like, is it to scale? Because the bathroom looks a little bit disproportionate. And Deputy Foster said, I don't know, it's probably not to scale, but I don't know how to make it. And then the defense said, no further questions. I don't know. So far, defense is not impressing me, they're not giving, as my teenage daughters would say, they're not giving. But anyway, state did a redirect at that point and, reiterated the fact that, yes, everybody reacts differently, but, have you ever seen this? And Deputy Foster reiterated, I've never seen such unhelpfulness and such, I've never seen anyone just not be able to relay any pertinent information to authorities, basically. I've never seen this. I've never seen this in all of my years. So then this blew me away. I was just sitting on my bed with my dog and my daughter. I had my headphones on, and they said, state calls Aaron Cooper. And I was like, Cooper? Aaron Cooper? I read that name before. Holy shit. Ryan's brother. I'm locked in. I'm locked in at this point. So Aaron Cooper gets on the stand. Okay. Prosecution just kind of gets a little background from him. Aaron Cooper, just like his brother, was a farmer, crop and cattle, family business, just really loved doing what they did, what they had inherited from their family, right? He had stated that at that time he lived about a mile or a mile and a half away, pretty close to his brother. Normal relationship, close. They were brothers. They were close. They saw each other on holidays and birthdays and barbecues and get-togethers and, totally normal relationship. Guys, Karina Cooper. So apparently Karina Cooper, before she called 911, called Aaron Cooper. And so Aaron Cooper starts to talk about the call that he got. It was completely hysterical. He could barely make anything out, but what he got was that someone had broken in. that someone was in the house. That's the information that he felt like was relayed to him, was that someone was in the house. He said he found it a little strange that during that call, she didn't ask him to call 911. She didn't mention anything about the state that Ryan was in at that time. So he said, he was like, I grabbed my gun because from what I was being told, there was an intruder. Grabbed my gun and I headed over, and I was there within 5 minutes. I'm right down the road. I got right there. Aaron said that when he pulled in, he saw one of the children. I won't say the children's name. He did. If you want to watch it, that's fine. I just don't like talking about like the kids and stuff. But he said he saw one of the children in the window. And that child saw him pulling in and then ran to the door and let him in. And so he felt like at that point there was no immediate threat, because, the children were out and about at that point. He said that, the same thing deputies said. He walked into the same thing that the deputies walked into. He could hear the screaming and the hysteria from Karina when he pulled in the driveway, right? And then, of course, as the child came and let him in, he walked in and saw a hysterical Karina Cooper sitting on top, even at this point, on top of Ryan's body, and said that it was weird. She was like face to face with him. That was probably terrible audio. I didn't realize. I'm so I don't mean to be. I'm sorry. Face to face with him, like kind of, like in his face. Anyway, he said he walked in when he saw her like that. He did walk up to his brother, Ryan. He said he put his hand on his leg, like lower leg. He said that Ryan was wearing shorts, kind of like PJ, recliner. He slept in his recliner frequently. Put his hand on his leg. His hand wasn't cold, or his leg wasn't cold, but it wasn't like warm. And then tried to feel for a pulse and couldn't feel one at that time. And then he said that as he's just kind of checking everything out, he does notice blood everywhere. He notices blood on the floor, of course, and then he mentions noticing the blood on Ryan's face, ears, nose, and prosecution proceeded to ask what that blood looked like. Aaron said it was dark red, and in some places it was even dry, and it kind of looked a little old. And prosecution said, well, like, how would you know what old blood looks like? How do you know? And Ryan said, listen, like, me and my family, like, we're hunters. We've been doing this our whole lives. Like, I just kind of know. And then just even from just life experience, injuries or wounds or, things that happen to you throughout your life. Like, it just didn't look like fresh blood. But I think at that moment, he wasn't processing that. This is kind of just like hindsight, So, again, he's asked about Karina and her state. He was like, it was just complete hysteria. I did think it was a little weird, because she knows that I am a volunteer firefighter. She didn't even ask me to like administer any aid, nothing like that. Now, I will also say that once Aaron Cooper received that hysteric call from Karina, he called 911 immediately, like in his truck on the way. Like he was getting there and on the phone with 911 and stayed on the phone, relaying quite calm, pertinent information to authorities until they arrived. And poor baby, I mean, because you can hear him arrive on the scene, get in the house, because they did play his 911 call. Also, by the way, I've got to post these clips. And even when he sees his brother, it kind of broke my heart. You could hear that set in. You could hear it set in what he was seeing, but he was still trying to remain calm. Obviously, he could see Karina is not really being much help at this point. She's hysterical. So he is trying to relay the information that the dispatcher is trying to gather about the scene. And he stayed on the 911 call all the way until deputies were like in the living room. Like you can hear him talking to the deputies that we talked about earlier. And yeah. And in the background of his call, I mean, you hear the same thing that we hear in Karina's call. You just hear her. I say hysterical. I've listened to a lot of 911 calls. I have. I've only been doing this for like 8 or 9 weeks. 9 weeks? I don't know. Trust me, before then, this is not a new obsession for me. I have been obsessed with true crime since I don't even know when, as long as I can remember. And so the 911 calls that you have heard and that I've heard, we've all heard 911 calls. This one was wild. This one was wild. It's up there with 911 calls. It's up there. So he is trying. You hear him on the phone, and you do hear him in the 911 call basically say, like, no, he's gone. He's gone. Because of course 911's trying to figure out what's happening, what's going on, and he's like, he's gone. He doesn't know how. He can't really decipher any evidence, signs of injury. He doesn't know how he's gone or why he's gone, what caused his. He doesn't know. And he says that. He's like, I don't know, but there's blood, face, eyes, ears, mouth, nose. He's not here anymore. And then to watch him relive this in court, and bless him, he just maintained this composure that I was just like, you know what? I know he's breaking inside, and to relive that sort of trauma and that sort of heartbreak and shock, I can't even imagine. Mind you, I made a note on my page, I guess, specifically to mention at this point that camera during all of this body cam footage and all of these things is panning over to Miss Karina. Guys, she's crying. It's the same thing that we've been seeing all day. A lot of sobbing. You know that sobbing where you're like, your shoulders are like going like this, and you have like a cloth of some sort to your facial area, hanky, tissue, whatever you can pick up while you're sobbing. You know that? Like, that I'm gonna maybe tomorrow. I'll do a longer thing tomorrow. But bro, if they have the best setting spray in jail, or that face is dry as hell. Is dry as hell. Is not one single piece of wetness on her face. It's dry. But it's a lot of this. I'm sure I looked really pretty. You guys screenshot that and post it on social media. Anyway, Aaron continues on to explain how he could garner no information from Karina. I think we've all gotten that at this point. No matter what witness you call, what witness was at the scene, what you could call the dispatcher to the scene, you could call the EMS to the scene, you could call the deputies to the scene, you can call everybody to the scene. We're not getting nothing from Karina, so we can probably stop asking that question. What information are you getting from Karina at this time? None. Yelling, screaming, crying, sobbing, falling, shaking, all of that. Nothing. Okay, so apparently I made a little note on my notepad that at this point during the trial, Karina was seen on camera on court TV like scribbling on a notepad like mine, but she was like scribbling it and then slid it across to her attorney. I just wish I could know what that said, but we can't. Anyway, so then Aaron goes on to describe how during all of the, deputies are there at this point. He's still trying to figure out what's going on. And there was a couple outbuildings on the property. One of them was kind of used as a bar and a hair salon. Karina did hair, and this building was kind of used for that business. And then there was another outbuilding on the property that was used for storage. He even went and searched in there and was looking for, like, was anything taken? Was anything broken into? He said, I saw there was nothing. There was no signs of forced entry. There was no signs of burglary. There was no signs of anything being missing. Nothing. He could find nothing. Nothing was taken. Nothing was. We know how these things go, right? We're all true crime enthusiasts. We know how these things go, right? Nothing was taken. Why are they there? Someone broke into your house, shot your husband. Nothing was taken. Okay, so what happened or why? Well, I don't need the sidebar. Anyway, okay, so then Aaron goes on to say that he has not talked to Karina since that night, really, about this incident, about the death of his brother, except for this one phone call a couple of weeks later where Karina called him and said that she had seen something on the news about them finding a .22 shell casing in the home. And Aaron said that Karina was saying, like, well, what is that? What does that mean? What is that even? What's a shell casing? I don't understand. And prosecution was like, so what did you think about that call? And Aaron was like, it's weird. It was weird. I'm a hunter. My brother's a hunter. Her kids are hunters. Like, there's guns. There's, like, the fact that she called to ask what is a shell casing and what does it mean. He just found it kind of a little weird. A little weird. 'Twas weird. Yeah. And then the thing happened where right after that question, the prosecution was kind of like, okay, so shortly after Ryan's death, there was a visitation or funeral or visitation. There was I think visitation. I'm not sure if there's a difference. I know some people might categorize them differently. He said there was a visitation for our victim, Ryan Cooper. And Aaron confirmed, yes, there was. And prosecution said, so what did you make of Karina's demeanor at the visitation? And Aaron Cooper said, theatrical. And then guess what happened? The judge said, this is a good time to take our afternoon break. We're going to stop here. You guys, we're going to stop here. They left us on a cliffhanger. And then guess what happened? When we came back from the cliffhanger, the judge said that defense had objected to that line of questioning, and that objection was sustained. And so prosecution got up right after the afternoon break and said, no further questions for this witness. Guys, we don't even know what happened at the theatrical visitation. What happened? Don't do that to us. This is not Netflix. We need facts. We need to know what happened. How are we going to get to the bottom of anything if we don't have all the information? I mean, kind of, I just really wanted to know. Maybe another witness will testify. Maybe we'll get there. I don't know. But for them to do that, okay. Anyway, nothing to note on the cross-examination of that witness. Nothing exciting happened. Then, at that point, one of the minor children of Karina and Ryan took the stand. And of course, that testimony off limits. Period, point blank, I don't care, off limits, minor child stays out. And so live stream cut for a little bit and then live stream picked back up just in time for the judge to say, we're going to wrap it up here. And so guys, that's it. That's it. That was day one. But I'm going to tell you what, it was so interesting. And sidebar, once jury was excused, you know, they kind of have they kind of mingle a little bit off the record. And the judge was like, so I just kind of want to know, just so we can kind of have a smooth running day tomorrow. Like, what are you guys expecting? And the prosecution was, he said, a lot. And he was like, I think at least 5 witnesses. So yes. So 5 witnesses tomorrow is what we're looking forward to. Listen, I'm gonna put her away for the night. This has been a fantastic day. It's been a fantastic day for so many reasons. I'm gonna touch on another one of those reasons in another little clip. But trial today was exactly what I expected it to be, honestly. I knew when I was doing my deep dive, I was like, I've never seen a state hold so tightly onto information. And just in opening statements, I was like, they've had all of this the whole time. I knew it was coming. I'm excited to see because I'm telling you right now, I don't know which way I'm leaning. I don't know. I've heard prosecution's opening statements, but I know that opening statements are not evidence, so I'm going to reserve my opinion for evidence. I just want to hear evidence. I need to see facts. I need to see, and then I'm going to form an opinion. So I don't know, you know, but I definitely think that, and you know, based on what I've seen so far, prosecution is on it and defense is kind of like, prove it. And prosecution's like, okay, boom. It just doesn't seem like it, because even on crosses, it was just kind of like, is the bathroom to scale on this model? I cannot get over that. I'm going to be laughing about that for, I don't know, at least till tomorrow. But so that was trial day 1. I am so happy that you guys were here with me for this. A lot of you guys were talking to me throughout the trial. in comments and in private messages, and I cannot express my gratitude. Again, I'm still just a little baby channel, and this influx of love and support in the last couple of days, thanks to Miss Kathy over at Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo, has just been, I was gonna make a whole other little video on this, so I will do that anyway, because this is not the time or the place. You guys get your own thing. Plus, it's time for me to express a little gratitude anyway in regards to my channel and where it is and where it's been and where it's going and all of that. So anyway, trial day 1, Karina Cooper, wrapped up in a tight little juicy burrito, and I can't wait to see where it goes tomorrow. I will be tuning in. I hope you guys tune in with me. I'll give you updates throughout if you want. Yes, it's been a great day. Until I see you again, please, please, please stay safe, keep asking questions, and keep unraveling. Love you.